It's not all about time travel. Donnie Darko is an impressive representation of moral complexity, mental health, and a manipulated dead wearing a stupid rabbit suit. Or is it me who's stupid, wearing this man suit? I don't know. Most of the content I've consumed about the film is focused on the insane concepts of time, portals, and perceived delusion being the truth. On my most recent watch, I caught on to something that's slightly different than what's at the forefront of conversation. This concept of fear and love is what got my attention. It's so tightly intertwined throughout the story, it kept me up late thinking about what it means. Why is the polarity of these two extremes so intentionally written in? What does it mean for the characters involved? And, of course, how the fuck does all this connect to that damned bunny rabbit? The more I became obsessed with this fear versus love concept, the more my interpretation of the film shifted. I started to see so much more than a mental illness story, or just an enticing sci-fi concept. I realized the entire film is woven with this fear or love idea. To me, it became the single most important and relevant lesson in Donnie Darko. So, for that reason, I'm gonna listen to the water-like spears coming from my life force, and get this movie's lesson recorded on video for you to enjoy. We will be discussing spoilers in this one, as well as the director's cut version, so if you haven't seen the movie, or if you want to see the director's cut, I would implore you to do so now. The first time we hear about this simple choice between fear and love is good old Jim Cunningham's VHS tape. What becomes clear with these self-help tapes is the way Jim is telling people to deal with their problems, by controlling fear. This control is made so easy because of this choice between fear and love that exists in every problem, according to Jim. With this framework, you can control fear by simply choosing love in every situation that life presents you. Now, I will say, I don't wholeheartedly disagree with this. I guess my life experience compared to Donnie's differs a lot. Often, I do have the choice to act out of love or fear. I'm gonna sound like this idiot teacher for a second, but an example of that choice is if somebody's being combative with me. When someone's angry and disagreeing with what I said, I can go from the starting point of a simple binary. Love or fear. Do I want to fight back against these words? Or do I want to accept the situation and the person saying them? You can guess which is which. The difference for me, and why I don't share a perspective with this teacher, is I know what Cunningham is saying has to be a starting point for how you choose your words and actions in real time, not the end-all be-all for what I should focus my mind on. If I choose to accept the situation in full and push down my feelings of wanting to fight back entirely, I've missed the point. The point that this movie provides is by pushing away that fear completely, I am hiding a part of myself. I'm not saying I should lash out at the person to be true to my feelings or whatever. I'm simply saying I need to look at the other side of the coin and understand the bad just as much as I understand the good. Donnie Darko shows us that when you push away the darkness, it rots in hiding. Striving for this self-help, hero, purity persona, a state of sheer goodness that nobody could ever reach, causes the bad to manifest in the background. This is very obvious with Jim Cunningham, who has done all he can to be this performative, love-only figure. The cost of this persona is in the background a dark side that's grown into a truly horrible place. By pushing away the bad parts of himself for so long, he's literally a pedophile now, running a CP ring or dungeon or whatever they were talking about. You can see in the very last montage of the movie how this affects him. He knows what he's doing is wrong, sitting there crying in his bed. Jim's inability to face his wrongdoings long before they got out of hand are what led him to this moment. Now he's in an unsalvageable place, all because of this yearning to turn towards love and ignore everything else. Jim never realized that true love is acceptance of both good and bad, and then working from there. If he could have found that out earlier, he would have been a better person, and less of, as Donnie puts it,
you're fucking Antichrist.
Okay, so that's my real takeaway from the VHS tapes themselves. But what about this other classroom lesson? The line exercise is an interesting way to lay out these polarities. It doesn't necessarily force you to pick between one or the other, but it highlights the idea that in every single choice, there's a bit of both. Again, in this spot, I don't completely agree with Donnie. There is an element of these two emotions in every choice we make. The problem arises when the exercise disregards the complexities of existence. What Donnie understands is that binary thinking doesn't come from a place of realism. The exercise itself isn't the problem. The interpretation of it is. We talked about how fear and love are not mutually exclusive. You have to have both in the equation. But also, the oversimplification of these two can destroy the nuanced views that any person can have. A different upbringing, for example, can shatter what is good to some people and bad to others. A person's definition of fear could lead to a positive, like awareness or looking out for others. Same way, a person's definition of love could lead to unhealthy attachment or overprotectiveness. Donnie's awareness here is an early philosophical awakening. The line is not an accurate representation of human experience. Life is too complex to put out this line-based belief system for everyone. And to show us it's not just about the other emotions involved that are not present on the line, you have this teacher. I think I called her an idiot teacher earlier. At the end, she is still holding on to the idea of Jim Cunningham, literally about to defend a pedophile because that's what she thinks is good. She is a walking example of how that line becomes an arbitrary interpretation. To ignore that fact is to ignore the very mechanics of human bias and perspective. So now it's obvious the whole Jim Cunningham teachings are hard and fast bullshit. The movie really starts to put this concept into Donnie's character once he actually speaks with Jim. Don't worry guys, we're finally getting on to how this all connects to the story. When Donnie is unloading on the mic, just going at Jim Cunningham, he's making it clear to everyone just how much more complicated the problems are for these kids up on stage. Donnie is a bit combative in this moment, but there's a huge difference with how Donnie reacts when Jim kindly attacks him. Cunningham says he's confused, troubled, and looking for answers in all the wrong places. Instead of fighting this, Donnie accepts these statements. In this moment, you can see how secure Donnie is becoming with himself. He has the courage to be completely authentic with a person he feels is wrong. And instead of fighting against his own internal struggles being called out, he accepts them in front of everyone. I think this is Donnie's biggest moment of growth because it pushes him to be more sure of himself. Add in a few conversations with the therapist and his dad later on. Now Donnie is coming so close to accepting all sides and transcending his reality. All he has to do now is bring that acceptance to the other forces leading him through. These other forces I'm referring to are Gretchen and Frank. Interestingly enough, I read a thread talking about how Gretchen represents love and Frank represents fear. To me, that type of reading misses the point completely. We have established how fear and love are not simple enough to be put into two separate and obvious categories. That means if Frank was one and Gretchen was the other, it would completely undermine the deeper message. For Gretchen, the love comes from the relationship itself and how they are there for each other, but the fear is just as present between them, with Donnie not wanting to lose her. In the end, when he does lose her, Donnie has already accepted and moved on from that fear. He seems distant, but really he's just connected to the bigger picture, and part of that is giving up the fear of losing Gretchen. Frank is the inverted version of this. He causes fear for Donnie a lot, but if you look at it, he really acts from a place of love all the time. Saving Donnie's life, exposing pedophiles, giving Donnie the tools he needs to complete the loop. This is the duality in everyone that the movie has been hinting at. When Donnie fully understands both sides of Frank and Gretchen is when the movie is complete. It's not about good or bad. It's about embracing what is there and trusting that it's there for a reason. Donnie's attitude in the end might look like pure detachment from the outside, but he's really more tapped in than anyone. The last time we see Donnie, he's back in his bed laughing. He finally can see the whole picture, and he's giddy about it. He understands the fear of loss and the love behind his sacrifice at the same time. This is the moment that the loop completes. Donnie Darko has so many interesting perspectives, it's almost hard not to take one of them and blow it out of proportion, like I did here. It is so intentionally made to make you think harder, and honestly, those are the movies I love the most. Seeing the journey of someone who is troubled but can fully understand the mechanics of human life is both inspiring and a bit scary. How alone does someone have to be to get to this place of looking at the bad, understanding the nuance, and truly accepting it all? I hope that one day I can reach this level of understanding, although I don't think I'll get a helper like Frank. And with that, thank you for watching, Preston. Specifically you, Preston. And of course, to everyone else who watched this one, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna do a video that was much more story focused. Even when I started this, the video was gonna be much more story focused, but I just got so lost in the concepts and trying to figure them out at the same time as I'm writing. And it's just, I don't know, it's more addicting than anything else that you could talk about in this story, personally. At least everything else has been talked about, 10 times over. This is one of those movies that you pretty much have to watch a YouTube video on after you finish, where you gotta do like three rewatches, which it's a lot bigger time commitment. But yeah, if you do have any thoughts on my interpretation, or you think I missed anywhere, you might have a good chance to fix my own philosophy. So hop down there in the comments and let me know about it. And I would love to talk these things through. God damn it. I guess we're done talking for the day. I'm glad the script's over. But yeah, I think we're done here. So, deuces.